Fatality.
Back in 2011, I saw the trailer for a game called Mortal Kombat, and it looked awesome. It had everything a young boy just starting puberty liked. Ninjas, hellspawn, sorcerers, cyborgs, moving on. And all the blood and gore I could ask for.
Kung Lao wins.
Even though I was completely engrossed in this game, I had no idea of its history. You see, the title Mortal Kombat was missing a big fat number 9 at the end. I came to learn that not only has Mortal Kombat been a long-running franchise, but it's also one of the most impactful series in gaming history. Before covering the origin of Mortal Kombat, we need to go back further to 1991 and the launch of another iconic fighting game, Street Fighter II. Street Fighter II initially blew the competition out of the water for a few reasons. Previous fighting games, such as the original Street Fighter, Final Fight, and Pit Fighter, allowed players to choose between 2 to 3 playable characters. But Street Fighter II allowed the player to choose between a whopping 8 playable characters. Another innovation was how each character had their own unique fighting style and special moves. Street Fighter II took the gaming community by storm, so it wasn't long before an onslaught of other games came along to profit from Street Fighter II's success. Video game publisher Midway tasked developers Ed Boon and John Tobias to create a new fighting game to compete with Street Fighter II. The pair originally intended to actually create a Jean-Claude Van Damme game, which fell through due to Van Damme's commitment to the development of another game. Instead, they created something entirely new, Mortal Kombat. The original Mortal Kombat released in arcades in 1992 to extreme popularity. Boon and Tobias made many decisions to make Mortal Kombat stand out from the fierce competition. For starters, the game was intended to trump Street Fighter II with spectacle. Adopted from an earlier game called Pit Fighter, the developers decided to film real actors in front of blue screens and later digitize them into the game's characters for extra realism. Mortal Kombat's story was innovative for being significantly more in-depth than the mass majority of fighting games. The universe of Mortal Kombat is split into a large number of different realms. For one realm to legally conquer another, they must challenge it to Mortal Kombat, a martial arts tournament where each realm's mightiest champions must fight to the death. The challenging realm must win 10 straight Mortal Kombat tournaments in a row in order to conquer the other. The game itself picks up after the evil realm of Outworld has defeated our world, Earthrealm, in 9 straight Mortal Kombat tournaments. If Earthrealm loses one more, Outworld will take us over. The demonic sorcerer Shang Tsung oversees this tournament, and the player must choose between 7 internationally diverse characters to either save the world or end it. The 7 playable characters include Johnny Cage, a narcissistic movie star who seeks to prove himself as a martial artist; Kano, a mercenary and leader of the Black Dragon crime syndicate; Sonya Blade, an American Special Forces operative tasked with apprehending Kano; Raiden, the god of thunder and guardian of Earthrealm; Scorpion, an undead ninja brought back to life to take revenge on the man who killed him, his family, and clan. That man was Sub-Zero, a Chinese assassin and member of the rival clan to Scorpion's. He's hired to kill Shang Tsung, but is unfortunately killed by Scorpion before he can complete his mission. He gets better though. And finally, Liu Kang, a Shaolin monk and expert martial artist, eventually being the one to defeat Shang Tsung and save the world. These 7 characters became the core of Mortal Kombat, appearing in most, if not all, the games in the franchise moving forward. Scorpion and Sub-Zero have even gone on to become 2 of the most iconic video game characters of all time. Another of Mortal Kombat's innovations was the inclusion of a secret 8th character, Reptile. Reptile could only be fought if the player completes extremely specific tasks. Combining all the moves of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, Reptile was one of the hardest fights in the game. Secret characters have since become a staple for not only Mortal Kombat, but the entire fighting game genre. Examples including Jigglypuff in the original Super Smash Bros. And Akuma in Street Fighter II Turbo. Mortal Kombat was a massive hit, leading to versions on the SNES, Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, and more. The game's massive success led to approximately 1 billion sequels, spin-offs, and ports. There were action figures, a card game, comic books, 2 terrible movies.
Mother. You're alive. Too bad you will die.
And even a children's cartoon. I don't know about you, but when I see this, I definitely think this would make a great kids show. Despite the game's success, it wasn't without controversy. The fatality system was created for Mortal Kombat, which became a staple of the franchise. Each character has a unique finishing move, allowing the player to brutally murder their beaten opponent. With this level of violence, adults lost their goddamn minds.
A horrifying possibility for parents who can't believe the game makers are fantasizing about decapitation and murder. Parents wonder if kids can separate fantasy from the real thing.
I don't think they'll have this at home, no.
You don't think so?
A little bit
you
too
look
violent.
a little startled.
Yeah, it's a little too violent, I think.
That's pretty bad. And that's just plain gross.
Wait until they get out in a situation where they're fighting, and then they'll think about this and try to make it real.
It wasn't long before the Senate took notice. In 1993, congressional hearings were held on a terrible plague impacting American society: violent video games. The hearings were led by Democratic Senators Joe Lieberman and Herb Kohl. The pair of senators addressed two games specifically. One was a fairly unknown game for the Sega CD called Night Trap, and the other was Mortal Kombat. The senators warned the gaming industry representatives that if they couldn't get their act together, the government would be forced to step in.
It is a sick, disgusting video game, in my judgment. Shame on people that produce that trash. It's child abuse, in my judgment.
These hearings about Mortal Kombat and other games led to the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or the ESRB. The ESRB was founded in 1994 as a self-regulatory organization which rates games based on their level of violence and sexual content. Just like the creation of film ratings, the ESRB caused game developers to aim for specific ratings in order to sell more copies. Many game retailers even refused to sell higher-rated games to minors. With the massive success of the original Mortal Kombat, a sequel would obviously release sooner or later. But with all the controversy surrounding the game's realistic violence, did Boone and Tobias tone it down for Mortal Kombat 2? Nope. Mortal Kombat 2 was released in arcades during the spring of 1993 and dialed everything much higher than its predecessor. The game featured even more soon-to-be iconic playable characters such as Melina, Baraka, and Jax, for a total of 12. Each character now had multiple unique fatalities, each gorier than the last. For MK2, one secret character wasn't enough, so the game introduced 3, including Jade, Smoke, and Noob Saibot. Mortal Kombat 2 was an even bigger success than the original, and is regarded by many as the best installment in this long-running franchise. It wasn't long before Mortal Kombat 3 arrived in the arcades during the spring of 1995, bringing along its own innovations. But uh-oh, the game doesn't have Scorpion. Come on, Nintendo, hello! You can't have a Mortal Kombat game without Scorpion! Okay, that's better. Good thing they re-released the entire game just so we could play as Scorpion. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 featured plenty of fan-favorite new characters such as Cyrex, Sindel, Nightwolf, Cabal, and Ermac, alongside classics from the first 2 games. MK3 was one of the first games to introduce the concept of chain combos, where each character has unique normal attacks which can be strung together into a long series of unblockable hits. This chain combo mechanic has become an essential aspect of the fighting game genre as a whole, appearing in essentially every fighting game since. The Mortal Kombat franchise would continue to innovate and move forward so as not to fall back and become outdated. Mortal Kombat 4 was the first game to switch over to using full 3D graphics. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance moved the fighting into a full 3D space, and action-adventure beat-em-up spin-offs were developed, of varying quality. One of MK's most recent contributions to the fighting game genre was the introduction of a cinematic story mode in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Cinematic story modes have since become essential in the modern fighting game genre, appearing in everything from Tekken to Marvel vs. Capcom. Mortal Kombat was one of the most impactful game franchises ever, creating ripple effects in not only other fighting games, but even in how the video game industry is run. The newest entry in the franchise, Mortal Kombat 11, releases this April, and is once again innovating by allowing the player to customize all the characters' looks and moves. Mortal Kombat is always changing, and I can't wait to see what it has in store for us in the future.
Get over here!